Recently, for the first time ever, I finally watched a movie that I have been wanting to watch my entire life, and I just never got around to it. Cobra, starring Sylvester Stallone. Um, a movie that it's almost like the for the poster alone. It's an amazing poster. Um, I wanted to watch the movie. I like Stallone too, so I rented it on Amazon. Pretty good movie. Pretty good movie. But it made me start to think about the movie that it was imitating, quite clearly imitating. This was really Sylvester Stallone's take on Dirty Harry. This was clearly Stallone doing Clint Eastwood. And that made me sort of go, okay, at that point, I had watched the first Dirty Harry. I did a review of it. And I'd watched the sequel, Magnum Force, which I honest to God remember nothing of. Vigilante Cops. That's what I remember in it. But it made me go, okay, you know what, I have the set. I have the Dirty Harry set. Let's watch the rest of these movies. Let's just marathon right straight through them. So I did. The third movie, The Enforcer, is all right. I liked it okay. The fourth movie, Sudden Impact, the one with the famous, go ahead and make my day, almost was the one that I reviewed today. Very, very weird movie. Very sort of like 80s action movie, 1970s revenge movie sort of crammed together, and it was kind of awkward actually, but in a fascinating way. But the one I'm going with is The Deadpool. This is the fifth and final Dirty Harry movie. Came out, I believe, 88, maybe 89. I clearly have a memory. I used to get, every Friday, my dad would bring me home a copy of the LA Times, because the LA Times would have, that Friday is the day that the movies would come out, and they'd have the full page ads for the new movies. Sometimes if it was a big enough movie, it'd even be a color ad. And sometimes I would cut out the full page ads, even if it was a movie I didn't have any interest in or anything. I would cut out the full page ads and collect them. Sometimes I'd hang them on my wall. So I very clearly remember the Deadpool, the image of the gun and Eastwood's profile, and I remember that clearly, having that as one of the newspaper clippings that I collected. And here we are 30 years later, and I finally watched the thing. And my opinion of it is, it was fine. It was okay. It's a silly movie. I reviewed Dirty Harry, and I talked about how maybe it was a little bit too serious. It was more 1970s than it was action 80s kind of a thing. Dirty Harry gets lumped in with like the action stars of the 80s. And I think it's really because of Sudden Impact and the Deadpool. Because the other three movies are very 1970s. They're very, 1970s gritty cop movie, French Connection kind of things. Sudden Impact, at least half of it, and the Deadpool are very 1980s action. And for what the Deadpool is, it does what it needs to do. Eastwood is playing more of a caricature of Dirty Harry, which in some ways is more entertaining than when he played Dirty Harry, straight. First of all, the odd cameos by two guys who were not famous yet, but were about to become so. Liam Neeson is in the movie as a snooty, I believe, Australian movie director with a mullet with the ponytail in the back, and it's weird, man. It's weird. just to see Liam Neeson have him doing that accent does not sound right coming out of his mouth. He's very young in this movie. Very young. I mean, I don't know what he might have done before this, but I'm betting this was like one of his first big major motion pictures. And the other one that everybody kind of knows is Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey pops up for about 2 minutes in this. That I know. I know like Eastwood loved Jim Carrey's impression of him. So that probably is where that came from. Like, Jim Carrey being asked to do this part. He is a heroin-addicted metalhead rocker. And the weird thing is like they're shooting like a music video. And he's lip syncing to Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. Not only do you never for a second believe that Jim Carrey's voice sounds like Axl Rose, but it was already a really popular song. It made no sense why they didn't either just record a new song. And Jim Carrey can sing. Jim Carrey, I don't know if Jim Carrey can rock it like a hurricane, but Jim Carrey can sing. So why they didn't either have him do it or have somebody record a new song, or at least pick a lesser known song, because everybody knew Welcome to the Jungle. It's just, again, it's odd. It's weird. The whole part is weird. And Jim Carrey is mugging for the camera. And it's fun as like a time capsule of like him. I don't know how I would have felt if I had seen the movie at the time, because this is years before even In Living Color. So it's a curious thing. So the plot of the movie is there's a Deadpool. No, not the one you're thinking of. A Deadpool as far as like people playing a game on what celebrities are likely to die. And somebody is going around making sure that the names on a certain person's Deadpool are getting knocked off. And in comes Detective Harry Callahan to solve the mystery. There's some stuff in there about the media. He's kind of got a love interest, which is weird and doesn't work. He has that in both Sudden Impact and the Deadpool. He didn't have a love interest in the first 3 movies in the 70s, but it's the 80s. You got to have a love interest. And this one is just as weak as, at least the one in Sudden Impact. There's sort of a conflict there, as she's basically a serial killer. Even though she's getting revenge, and it's, in the end, it's fine. But this one is just weak. It's just a reporter trying to do a story on him. He gets a partner, which you got to give Dirty Harry a partner in every Dirty Harry movie, because you got to have somebody to kill. And they give him the obligatory Chinese partner for a movie like this, who of course knows Kung Fu, because it's 1988 and you can't have an Asian person in a movie if they don't know Kung Fu. It's offensive, but not greatly so. It's sort of, there's definitely stuff in earlier Dirty Harry movies that made me cringe more. This is played more for laughs. There's a pretty good car chase in the movie where Clint Eastwood is trying to outrun a little toy car that has a bomb strapped to it. It's ridiculous, the idea that this little toy car will keep up with his, but and they're doing the slow motion, like, San Francisco hills, like jumping off of the hill, and then the toy car. It's cute. It's funny. Cute's the word I'd use to describe this. It's like a lot of, 80s action movies. You can't take it seriously. It's meant to just be entertaining. It's nowhere near as dark as the other movies. This is definitely the lightest. You can see Clint Eastwood is getting old and doesn't want to do it anymore. It should give all of us who are, worried about our mortality, it should give us all comfort to know that in 88, 89, when this movie came out, Clint Eastwood was already, they were making the old jokes about him, and he's still around. So that gives me hope. It's a fun little movie. It's kind of stupid. I'm not the biggest fan of the Dirty Harry movies. They're not up there for me with Rambo, Terminator, Commando. A lot of the characters from that period who there's something ridiculous about Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Dolph Lundgren and other actors from that era. The giant muscles and the giant machine guns that they're firing with one hand. This is fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay movie. 2.5 out of 5 stars, but an affectionate 2.5. Not like a this movie kind of sucks kind of. No, in a like a it's fine. You're not going to remember it. It's not going to change your life. It's an hour and a half long. You could do worse. Final thing. There's talk of an Expendables 4. If Expendables 4 does come out, and if by some miracle Stallone ever sees this video, won't ever happen, but let's just say it will. All I'm saying, one scene where the Expendables, either they've got to save the President of the United States, or they're sent on a mission by the President of the United States, and that president is Clint fucking Eastwood. Gotta happen. Gotta do it. Dirty Harry is the grandfather of the action movie. At this point, he's the great grandfather of the action movie. And having him in an Expendables movie, it's past time that you get that done. Plus, you got to have somebody who's going to make Stallone look like he's not in his 70s. So, Deadpool, 2.5 stars. The Deadpool. Otherwise, you'll get it confused with another Deadpool. It's fine. Check it out.
Are there any similarities in the book that pertain to your real life?
A fictional autobiography. Occasionally situations that are taken almost verbatim, but so I sat down and I just started.
Dreams are the killers of manhood. Every man chases after them, believing he'll be the one to make it.
Will not be the first alien life form brought back to Alpha Centauri Prime for study. Mission Priority 3. Upon termination of human specimen, collect and preserve all vital organs, spinal fluid, and bone marrow samples for future study.
Today, I'm finished. I'm here to do the people of this country a favor.
Who said those dogs at the CIA have no say in the politics of my country? Did that fix the world? Did his death change history for the better?
For a time.
Could it be you don't have the stomach for it? Could it be you've never held a gun before in your life than now as you stand here face to face with a great man?
They complain about bad dreams, nonsense like that. Silly stuff. We all came home with bad dreams. Every 4th of July, I break out in cold sweat when I'm gonna hear those fireworks blowing up all night. I wanna hide away all day.
When the final note was played, his wife and child would cheer so loud he would hear them amidst the din.
I have learned that people move. People move and travel and die. I don't wish to live in my memories, but to make new ones, so that I may leave this place that no longer holds joy for me and set out to find new joy in other worlds.
Sort of gave myself the challenge of, okay,